Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm really excited to be here with you today. Thank you, Reverend Catherine, for inviting me today. Wow, Crystal Coast Community is incredible. What a great space. What beautiful people. I was a little bit nervous about accepting this invitation because I know the kind of messages that you all hear every week. Because she's an incredible speaker, and if you don't include that on your gratitude list, you need to do that. She's amazing. So she told you I am Reverend Todd Humphrey, and 20 years ago, if anyone in my life had looked at me and said, "You're going to be a minister one day," I would have hurt myself from laughing. Many years I invested in a belief that if I actually walked into a church, that either I or the church one would burst into flames. But then one day a friend invited me, and I did show up to hear my friend sing to Unity in Greensboro. And that's where I met Reverend Catherine. And I was introduced to those 5 Unity principles that we all just recited together. And I have to tell you what, my life changed radically. And in fact, I did explode into flames in the manner of speaking. And so today, in June of 2017, I completed seminary. I went to seminary at One Spirit Interfaith, which is an interfaith spirituality center in Manhattan. It's an online program, and they ordained me. And so I'm paying my bills now by doing weddings and funerals and speaking engagements, and I do some editing on the side, and I wait tables occasionally. And life is beautiful. Life is so much more enriching now than it was before. So let's start with my message. We all participate in a personal ritual with me. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to invite everyone, if you're willing, to just take a deep breath. And then we're going to exhale slowly together. Let's do that 2 more times. And again. Thank you. To me, there's power in inspiring together, so that we can co-create. Thank you for this invitation. Today, I want to talk with you about happiness. And I think it's important to talk about happiness, possibly more important now than it has ever been, for 2 very simple reasons. The world is full of sorrow. And there are no more secrets. Secrets do not exist anymore. You can't turn on the TV or the radio or open up social media and without being bombarded with more information than we can possibly process. And the majority of the information that we get magnifies all of the sorrow in the world. And it makes no difference what you tune into, what your ideology is, who you wanted to win American Idol, or who you wanted to be president. Everything today is packaged to be sensational. We know about happenings all over the world in mere minutes. And we soon know what everybody else thinks about those happenings. The world is full of sorrow, and there are no secrets anymore. And for me, that's a recipe of heightened anxiety, regret, anger, and more sorrow. And to quote a great philosopher that most of you probably know, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Love. We need love instead of anxiety, regret, anger, and a world filled with sorrow. So we really need to reclaim our happiness. Because when we truly understand our happiness, truly live in our happiness, we can truly offer love to a world in need. We can offer love to one another. And that's what we all need. So, I know that some of you are thinking, how can we be happy in a time like this? Has Todd seen the news today? Okay. So to reclaim our happiness, the first thing we have to do, we have to turn the other cheek. We have to gain a new perspective of truth about what our happiness is. See, the culture of desire is rampant in our world. Most of us, I know I am, I'm addicted. I'm addicted to material possessions. I'm addicted to approval. And I know you will find this hard to believe of someone who's a minister, but sometimes I'm addicted to being right. And I'm sure some of you know other people like that. They're addicted to material possessions. They're addicted to being right. Maybe you yourself, have that addiction to approval. Most of us do. All of these addictions get in the way of us being happy. We can't truly experience our happiness. And this is why we have been duped into believing that our happiness is the result of the fulfillment of our desire. Right? Our unhappiness is because we are attached to the fulfillment of desire. So we're not saying that desire is bad. We're saying have a desire, but don't be attached to the outcome. Okay? I believed for many years that my happiness would be the result of my desires being fulfilled. And yet I wasn't happy because I desired more. I wanted more possessions. I desired more approval. I always wanted to be seen as being right. And all of that desire, all of that attachment to desire keeps me from being free. Keeps me from showing up in love. So maybe you've had that experience too. Maybe you've believed that too. So the truth is, happiness is not the fulfillment of desire. Happiness is not the fulfillment of desire. And I also know that some of you are thinking right now, well, Todd, I've known for a very long time that happiness comes from within. But does it? Does happiness come from within? Is that something you're manufacturing? Remember, we're reclaiming happiness today, so let's examine happiness in a new way. We've been conditioned to believe that happiness is an experience of an emotional state. We have been taught to equate happiness with the emotion of joy. We want to experience joy as a result of our met desires. We have been conditioned to label happy as an emotion. And then we decide that it's a better emotion than others because it feels good. We like to feel happy because it feels better than sadness or fear or surprise or disgust, and most definitely anger. But I've got news for you. Would you believe that happiness has not always meant joy? News, huh? Happiness did not always mean joy. The word happy comes from hap, which means chance or fortune. Happy traces back to the 14th century, and it meant lucky, favored by fortune, being advantageous. It meant prosperous. Your happiness is your prosperity. It is your divine inherent right. To be happy is to be aware of your prosperity. And that is not an emotional state. So let's reclaim our happiness by recognizing it as our prosperity. In a world filled with sorrow where there are no secrets, it is imperative that each and every one of us recognizes our prosperity. Failure to do so invites our suffering because we succumb to the idea that change is impossible. And that's not true. Happiness is not the result of fulfilled desires. Happiness is your prosperity. Happiness is my prosperity. Say that with me. Happiness is my prosperity. It is your divine right as a unique expression of the Christ. You can't get happy. Happy doesn't come from within. Happy doesn't waver. Happy is because you are. Right? Yes? Happy is because you are. Happy is our natural state of being when we are free from our attachments to our desires. Happy is our natural state of being when we are free from regret about the past and we are free against anxiety from the future. Happy is when we stand in this very moment, present to the now, experiencing each person in front of us in love. I've recently fallen in love with the teachings of Anthony DeMillo. Reverend DeMillo was Father DeMillo. He was a Catholic priest, a Jesuit priest, and like many of my favorite Catholic priests, the Vatican came out after his death and said, yeah, we're not really sure that he was a Christian, and we're not really sure you should be paying attention to what he taught. And this is what he said in his book, The Way to Love. Father DeMillo writes, if you want to know what it means to be happy, look at a flower, a bird, a child. They are perfect images of the kingdom. For they live from moment to moment in the eternal now, with no past and no future. They are spilled the guilt and the anxiety that so torment human beings, and they are full of the sheer joy of living, taking delight not so much in persons or in things, but in life itself. As long as your happiness is caused or sustained by something or someone outside of you, you are still in the land of the dead. The day you are happy for no reason whatsoever, the day you find yourself taking delight in everything and in nothing, you will know that you have found the land of unending joy called the kingdom. Now, I want to find the kingdom. Don't you? Let's find the kingdom. So anytime we refuse to acknowledge our happiness, we are denying our prosperity. We are limiting ourselves by refusing the flow of divine ideas. Now, the truth is, sometimes it's hard to stay happy. Sometimes it's difficult to recognize my attachments to my desires. And again, recognize desire is not bad. There's nothing wrong with the desire. But when I attach to my desire, I create my suffering. My suffering is where my sorrow is created. My sorrow is created out of my attachment to the outcome of my desire. And really, the world has enough sorrow without me adding more. The world has enough sorrow without you adding more. So I spend my time these days focused on maintaining my awareness of happiness. It's part of my ministry to alleviate sorrow in the world. The French philosopher Voltaire said, I have chosen to be happy because it is good for my health. I love that. So I am choosing to be happy. I am choosing to recognize my happiness. I'm choosing to not be distracted by any regret about my past. I'm choosing to not be distracted by anxiety about the future. I stay focused on this present moment. And there are some things I do to help me stay focused. Some of them are going to be familiar to you because I learned them from Reverend Catherine, and she's probably told all of you. And maybe some of them will be new. And I invite you to practice them if they call to you. So, I start my day with a glass of water after a full night's sleep. I want to reduce sorrow in the world. When I am well rested and I'm hydrated, then my brain works better. I can make healthier decisions, and it's less likely that I will be triggered by my conditioning to my attachments. When we're tired, when we're thirsty, when we're hungry, we don't always make the best decisions. So I start my day with water after a good night's sleep, and then I give myself a personalized affirmative prayer. And this is what I say. And you can do this for yourself as well. So whatever the name is that you use for the eternal divine, the universe, God, however, substitute that and then substitute the other part. This is how I start my day. And if they heard me this morning, they probably giggled a little bit. But here's my affirmation. Thank God I'm Todd Humphrey. Thank God I'm Todd Humphrey. Because everything that has happened and will happen serves a purpose in divine mind. And those things that can draw my attraction, my desire, and I get attached to it, can take me out of that place where I'm grateful for who I am. I am grateful for this opportunity to show up as Todd Humphrey. Because I, like we just sang in that song, I've got stuff to do. Right? So, what I also do is I take inventory of my emotional landscape. See, I think that we have been conditioned to believe that we either have this emotion or we have that emotion. We are either joyful or we're sad. We're angry or we're fearful. The truth is, every emotion that is possible exists within us all the time. And then we get to decide where we focus our attention. Every emotion is currently alive in me. Okay? But to reduce sorrow in the world, I stay focused on how my conditioning gives rise to these emotions. Right? See, we have to be willing to drop the illusion that anyone does anything to us. No one makes me joyful. No one makes me sad. My emotional responses are a direct result of my attachments to my desire. You know, let's use an example that I'm sure this is completely outside the realm of possibility. I am angry because my minister forgot my birthday. That would never happen, would it?
Never.
The minister didn't make you angry. Your expectation, your attachment to the expectation that anyone would remember your birthday made you angry. You didn't make you angry. The minister didn't make you angry. It was your conditioning that created an emotional response. So give up that illusion that you're going to get your desires. You can want that, and if it happens, hey, great. And if it doesn't, don't suffer. The Buddha said, life is painful. Suffering is optional. Right? So then I inventory my emotional landscape, and then I make a personal commitment to experiencing happy. Not happy the emotion, but happy knowing that I am prosperous. I am happy because happiness is my divine right. I am happy. I am claiming happy as a state of being. Right? So I hear people affirm their being as an emotion all the time. How are you today? I am sad. I am angry. Did y'all say that?
No.
Stop. Stop saying this. I am happy, and there's some fear. I am happy, and there's a lot of joy. I am happy, and I am angry about what's happening in the world today. Okay? Because we can hold all of this simultaneously. Because within us are multitudes. Okay? Stop affirming a state of being that will restrict you from experiencing the kingdom. Every word and every thought is a prayer. So, next, I practice gratitude. If you've been in Unity for a while, you've heard about gratitude, right? Talk about gratitude? Okay. So here's where I'm challenging myself. Because it is easy to be grateful that I had a home-cooked meal last night. It's easy to practice gratitude for that. It is not easy to practice gratitude for the person that cut me off in traffic. Right? But if everything is in divine order, then we have to learn to practice gratitude for life as it shows up. That takes trust and faith. And I'm doing my best. I'm not always good at that. I have to tell you. If it was you that cut me off in traffic yesterday, I apologize for the affirmation I sent into the universe for both of us. But is the universal mind in control? That's what we believe. And that's my exercise of faith. The next thing I do is I keep the Sabbath holy. We could talk a whole other day about keeping the Sabbath holy. That doesn't mean Sunday. I don't care when you want to take a Sabbath. But you owe it to your creative mind to pause and reflect on what you have imagined, what you have created, and what you have yet to create. Okay? The Sabbath has come to mean in modern American society that that's the day we have wings and watch football in the fall. We go shopping, we go sailing, whatever. I don't care when you do it, but you owe it to yourself to keep a Sabbath. To reflect on what you have created, what you want to create, and then doing something about it. Because the God in you, the ephemeral God out there that lives in you, fully in you, can do nothing for you that you're not willing to do for yourself. Right? Jesus said, if you want to be well, pick up your bed and walk. Right? So you have to do some stuff too, but do it mindfully. Do it with the Sabbath. Okay? It's to rest the body, but it is all about our creative energy. And then finally, I really recognize that my life is a life of service. Service is the spiritual path. And so you, if you're on a spiritual path, are called to be in service. And what that looks like, that is completely up to you. It's completely up to you. Margaret Mead, the famous anthropologist, some of you may know her name. Two quotes from her. You are remarkably unique, and so is everyone else. You are remarkably unique, and so is everyone else. She used to wake up every morning and she would exclaim, this is rumored, I didn't hear it myself, but she would wake up every morning and guess what she would say? Thank God I'm Margaret Mead. She had something to do in the world, and so do you. Living your life of service is showing up. It is dropping your illusions, and it is being present as love. Being present as the Christ. But we have work to do to get there. We have to drop our illusions. I know it's hard to say, how can I be happy with what's happening in the world? You have to be happy because you have to find joy in the fight. And I don't like the word fight, but we have work to do. In order to break down all of the illusions so that we all know that we are one, we have a lot of fierce loving to do. And we can't do that if we're wrapped up in our sorrow and we're wrapped up in suffering. So in closing, I do want to share these words from the Bible. Most of you are familiar with, at some point, Matthew chapter 5 starts verse 5. But you know this is as blessed. Blessed are those who are humble. They will receive what God has promised. I'm going to change that for you. This is the Good News translation. And I love this. Because this is what we are promised. Happy are those who are humble. They will receive what God has promised. Happiness is your divine right. Happy are those whose greatest desire is to do what God requires. God will satisfy them fully. Thank God you are who you are because you have stuff to do. God is calling you. Happy are those who are merciful to others. God will be merciful to them. We are here on a spiritual path. Service is the spiritual path. Happy are the pure in heart. They will see God. When we drop all of our illusions, we can behold love as everything we see. And as we have spoken, so it is.